Good evening, everybody. I'm Marianne Nowottny. I'm the Tom and Lisa Blumenthal Curator of Contemporary Art here at the Gardner. And today you are in a concert that is called the Stewart Concert. And there's a series of concerts that we share with our music department. And I've been trying to really bring different people together to work here and to workshop here and to work on new work. We've had Susan Howe and David Grubbs, and now it's very exciting. We're also a poet and musician, and now we have Barry Schwabsky and Marianne Nowottny. And I'm very excited that Barry is here. He's a wonderful poet, writer. He's also a curator. He's a person with many different hats. And he had talked to me about Marianne and the desire to be able to work with her. So bringing them together to work on this piece has been a great opportunity because we're going to be able to record it, we'll be able to film it, and you'll be able to hear a world premiere. So let me invite Barry to come and let's have a wonderful concert.
Well, thanks very much, Piranha. I mean, it's just been wonderful to be here, and you and everyone at the Gardner has been so warm and generous, and it's wonderful to have had this opportunity to work together with Marianne. What I should explain is that the kind of format of the evening is that I'm going to read some poetry, and then Marianne is going to perform some solo compositions, singing and at the piano, and then after that, the main part of the evening is going to be these 11 poems with music that we've prepared together. Our collaboration actually goes back to 2010, if I remember correctly, and it eventuated in a CD that we released in 2012. But we've never actually performed live together before. The work has been solely done in the studio until now. And the pieces on this CD were done from poems that I'd already written, and then Marianne composed the music to go with them. This time we kind of did the opposite. She composed basic electronic tracks, and then I either, in some cases, wrote or in other cases chose poems to go with the tracks that existed. And then here in Boston, we've been working together, and she's been sort of completing her musical side after hearing my words that go with them, and using her improvisatory skills to do that. So, as I said, I'm going to start off with just a few poems, 7 poems, and they're all translations. They're not my poems. They're my translations. And the reason I decided to present these is that when I was here at the Gardner in May, and I looked forward to this period of having 3 weeks at that time to work, and I thought I'm going to work on my poetry, but I knew that you can't always depend on being able to, you can depend on being able to work on your poetry, but you can't depend on actually accomplishing anything. So I said to myself, well, just in case, I'm going to bring something to translate too, so that if things are a little frustrating with the writing, I know I can maybe get somewhere with the translation. Well, I did write some poems here, but I also worked on these translations of the French poet Pierre Schwabsky, and I'm going to read 5 of them, which have just now appeared in a British magazine called Snow, out of Lewes in Sussex. And then after those, I'm going to read two others. So Pierre Schwabsky, Secret. Vacant bell, dead birds. In the house where everything's knotted off, 9 o'clock. Earth holds itself motionless. You would say that someone was sighing. The trees wear the ghost of a smile. Water trembles at the tip of each leaf. A cloud crosses the sky. Outside the door, a man is singing. The window opens without a sound. Word comes down. All the poppy flowers or women's lips reflected in the sky. It's rained. Kids drowning on sidewalks, and the streets tide, the city a funnel. In profile, the day slips towards sunset. The cobblestone comes loose, and the timorous beasties at the wind's racket skedaddle, and their names are... On the balconies, the window panes tremble, just a moment. The house is feverish, 5 o'clock, except the night that gets mixed up with the twisting, the trees at prayer. Earth immobilized, War is the name of this one. War. Earth immobilized and the burning summer. Careful, your protective helmet. I'm suited up. And the coming winter, forget it. We doubt ourselves all the more. You can try not to think so. Handkerchiefs hanging from balconies as flags of celebration, their colors washed out. And the distraught figure, face of faces. Death saunters down the road, waiting for each of us to bow. But what other weight than your bodies have you thrown on the scale? So cold in the trench, he sleeps with no more dreams. Pre-war pleasures. A thirsty head, and there's that moment when every leaf shivers. Lit cigars behind a plank wall where the legs vanish. Gloved fingers in the bouquet. Leaves. They've wrecked everything. There's still a date pinned to the wall, some wandering musicians left there. Birds mimic the musicians. Soldiers mimic the birds. The biggest one bends over before leaving, before falling. The pointed wings are finally lifted up. Speed rubbed out each body along the path and the pacified river. Then the road down opened out. Cut into slices, the sunbeam hides away its pearls. And we went bit by bit as far as the last plane tree, toward open sky, to stretch out at last against the wind that won't pass. Closed frames. The light remains undecided, briefly hesitates before each door in turn, and its sorrow clarifies beneath the palm tree that's been brought in. It's the joy of children's cries, words that balance out in your heart when it's stripped of feelings long since grown burdensome. A voice went off stage singing into the blue wings of the evening. That time the day was running late and your sky so bright. Over these roads to your childhood where you ran with bare head and heart, what faces could you make out in your memory, the silence? This one is by another French poet, Paul Eluard. The French title is the simplest thing in the world. It's La Parole, and I found it absolutely impossible to translate as such, and so I kind of came up with a circumlocution for it. In my version, it's power of speech. And this is actually one that there's a version of on the CD that Marianne and I did a few years ago. I've got easy beauty, and that's happy. I slip across the roof of winds. I slip across the roof of seas. I've gone all sentimental. I don't know who's driving. I don't rub silk over mirrors anymore. I'm sick. Flowers, pebbles. I love the most Chinese of all nudes. I love the most naked swerve of birds. I am old, but here I am beautiful, and the shadow that falls from deep windows saves up each evening the black heart of my eyes. And then for the last of these, I'm going to go back a century and change languages. This is from the Italian of Giacomo Leopardi. It's The Infinite. Ever dear to me this solitary hill, and dear this hedgerow too, abolishing as good as all of the farther horizon. But as I sit here gazing out, my thought contrives beyond it endless spaces, silences past human ken, and the bottomless calm, near filling my heart with dread. And as I hear the wind go whispering among the foliage, I keep likening its voice to that infinite silence. and it reminds me of eternity and the dead seasons and the lively virginal present and the sound it makes. That's how my thought sinks down amidst immensity, and in this sea the foundering is sweet. So, Marianne.
Hello, my name is Marianne.
Testing. Hello, my name is Marianne Nowottny. It's a pleasure to be here. And thank you so much for having me. And the song that I'll be performing is called Gray City.
Mood of a pendulum, life ephemeral, capriciously shredded with a Capricorn, jealous of my mirror, a divine fine line of a coiling silver tipping exhaust, scurrying weasels, each gold. Behold, a biblical call to the city. The city will burn. Familiar salt under my foot, and shall I return? Gone, flagration, the city will burn. Familiar salt under my foot, and shall I return? Expunged by chemical dissolution. What a murder! Oh, misleading solution, labyrinth of the moment. Try to run, try to run, try to run beyond barbed wire fields, beyond barbed wire fields. Must I wait to the failing sheets? icicles in my heart. This battle can't drive me mad. The poison in the dark. I make believe just to relieve the shrapnel sewn to my sleeve. I make believe just to relieve the shrapnel sewn to my sleeve.
Hard to imagine, but I never die. Punitive starbursts last forever. The inattention of art pulls mistakes from the depths of the sky. Decoys of live birds tethered, blinded, or maimed. What a dump in a voice over my shoulder. Time ground down to sand measures out a line as far as its fate will go, truthless, tender. What wants to crash in the eyes of others where otherwise would be nothing? Spread the blood over my pulse in your previously unpublished translation. How shadows flash past divination, if only you knew how haggard I was. A corpse dressed in honey, a corpse backed by birds. Taste, slowly at first, not yours, in tongue-tied longing. The pores of form still drip, the sun sweats. Our eye companions crowded in trembling doctrine. Looking past the keeper of geometries, address themselves to infinite understanding. spit mouthfuls of wasps and cracked canary bones. Yet uneaten by the whole of the page, they ache away from spoken dreams. They want to kiss your mouth dry. Decisively screwed into place, yet nostrils breathe denial. Next stop, indignant sparrows, bad luck. I still haven't seen you. A bitter tone leaches through the tree line. It holds you up to daylight under layers of survival gear. We never thought we'd know what we wanted, or start to see with the bright eyes of a cat. We're still trying to pick up your faint signal by the thin light of a broken star. According to a timetable established in all its murky charity by the raining sound of cars. You can move your mouth across the image on which a moth flutters, confused by the coffee on your breath. The stars are tidy in their places, but prefer to lean toward you as if straining to hear a tremor, or ruffle the film of belief that clings to our false memories of color and the pleasures of nothing more to say. The other you, whose imagery cause these things we can't agree with, unfolds to the viewer the true name of encounter, burning holes in the ceiling. A brief woman caught me out of reach. With burnt leaves she put in her mouth, still open as usual. Along with my cards, I fold desire. Thank you. The shadow banking system considers you so obscene, making music just by talking. At the end of my mistakes, your ears want to take a breath. Immaculate drudgery, a horizontal touch, the blade of music wiped clean with words and all their opposites, the defenestration of color to where things happen all at once. This false name is actually the name, only more irreverent than gentle. With the first and most conspicuous sign of said rumpling, the room is made dysfunctional, untidy. I like to point out that this voice is identifiable even in other places. I'd like for these to be references to her body more than to her biography. Maybe another adjective suggests a continued drifting, a resistance to any fixed, final arrangement. Does this name sound strange to you? If so, we can replace it by lurking radioactive materials, smells, or sound frequencies. Some cool shit working even when almost completely hidden. Prospecting for air or cheap memories of you. This unprotected death preceded by its shadow. As if you didn't know its hour passed hours ago. Wrapped up in inventories, it sank into mourning. On my agenda of expulsions whose taste has been licensed. Bright houses drawn confirmed reports of breath. This fire eats fire, a future in which all my fears are true. angular days are over. No more tormenting me with intervals, inside a poem in the style of each one you know. You hear the telephone keep ringing as you ward off its blows. It rains, and it rains, and it rains, and it rains for a fixed term of our wretched animal existence. A fold-out atlas that's seen better days than I've been feeling for a while, and still recurs in my nightmares of this dingy coffee bar where time is a page on a calendar that no one ever tears off. Photography is not to blame for changing daylight into silver. Our angular days are over, and the thirsty pastel nights begin. Sky. That was the start. You took a picture. I might have seemed exposed, but still your no was stripped so bare. Undiscovered by clouds, I stay loyal to the fog from which I watch you unwind me. When first you found me pinned up against a wrapping paper sky, that was the start. Gardens planted with seeds of ruined worlds, just as an afterthought. but in the time it takes to pick out a scab, she peered deep into your pupil and fell asleep. These threadbare insignia, pleasures sadly used, they still feel good. As twilight unbuckles the halo from your image and stars start pawing at your eyes. Oh, vanity of vanities, a woman is still a woman, but sometimes not the other way round.
Yeah.